Well, had I have known that it was just going to be the team of Finn and Lyric, I would have planned something different tonight. But as I did not, we will go on with what I did plan tonight, or semi-plan tonight.
Shotgun wedding?
I thought it might be interesting to examine their origins, but I was not prepared for that, so...
Shaba's origin or Finn and Lyric's origin?
Finn and Lyric's origins.
Okay. I'm always giving game and gung-ho about whatever it is that we are and going to get up to. Lyric, why don't you start us off? Where do you think they began?
If I had to guess, I would think that Finn came into one of her clubs chasing prey. Like one of his clients was ducking him about some money or something, and he got a tip that this particular person was at one of the clubs that Lyric worked at and came in, and something about him caught her attention. She kind of figured this one might be trouble, but I'm not exactly sure. I think I'm going to keep an eye on him. And throughout the night, she would like come past him and like catch his attention, and then something, I guess it's just something about the way he held himself made her curious. And then when the guy goes to leave, Finn follows him out, and she follows Finn to see if her deductions about him are correct and what he is. And she doesn't stop him from beating up the guy. She's impressed by it, and when he finally lets go of the guy, she's just like, you know, I could get you a job here or something like that. It's like kind of like flirty chatting him up, and then I'm sure he says something smart ass, and that was it. She's just like, I like you. We're friends now.
Okay. So, storyteller, my storyteller, how do you feel about that?
I feel fine. Is that something we want to play out, or do we just want to leave it in the Reader's Digest version?
Well, with that start, does that provide you with any hooks for the examination you were looking for?
I mean, it does. Well, like I said, it might be interested to examine how Finn and Lyric became Finn and Lyric. So we see how they met now. Where does it go from there? It's the question.
Let's see. Let's get in the right mind frame for Finn. So, dressed as I am, you think that I need a job? I do. That's not the point. I'm just trying to figure out where do I fade. Like, I was taught by Vogue and L that you guys start looking the guy over from the shoes and working your way up.
Well, the amateurs do that. See, I look at how a guy moves, what they're looking for, how aware they keep. That's more impressive to me than what a guy's shoes look like.
So you mean tell me you don't see my shoes at the end of your bed, by your door, 1, 2, 3 nights from now?
Oh, oh, you bold.
There's no other way to really be now, is there? We got a short time to do what we need to do.
Oh, I wouldn't be that forward, but I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility, no. But I think you probably have more girls than you can handle, so.
Nah, impossible.
Oh, you're saying you could never have more than you can handle, or is it not a girl thing?
I can never have more than I can handle. Only a fool bites off more than they can chew, purposefully.
I bet I see you. Well, I gotta get back inside, but I mean, if you want to stick around or something, or maybe I'll see you tomorrow night.
Yeah,
I'm cool with that.
Yeah, maybe you will. This your place?
One of many. I rotate.
I bet you do. I bet you do. I will see you around. I'm Seraphim.
Lyric. And then
like
at that
music?
point, yeah.
Okay.
My parents were weird about that kind of thing. Anita Baker and such.
I can dig it.
So at that point, I think she would kind of like smile, turn around, and walk away from him. But you know that thing that girls do when they like a guy? They put the sway on. Look at all of this. That she definitely would have like put a little bit of a swagger in her walk.
So she sachets back and opens the door. You're assaulted by the gentle strains of Sir Mix-a-Lot. DJ announcing that next up on the main stage is Candy. The black lights, of course. So, when do you guys meet again?
That's a good question. All things being equal, it'd probably be the next night. Not for intentional leading on or anything like that, but it'd be... How long ago are we thinking this happened? 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Probably a little bit after her stint distancing herself from her sire. She had kind of like disappeared for a little bit. She was trying to make her own way, so now she's kind of slowly stepping her foot back into the kindred society.
Okay. So 10 years ago, Finn has been dead for 9 years. Noor is very much still offhandedly using his services. This is right around the time when he finally made that big coming out rebellious action against Noor, taking steps into his own semblance of civil liberty. He's no longer just her soldier, and that has a connotation that he's out there in the field, you know, breaking arms, punching eyes, but that's not the sort of soldier that she was looking for. Noor has been playing the long game for a very long while. So we're looking at 2013, 2014, and he's finally getting a taste of civil liberty, because no kindred is ever truly free. So his operations and actions in Hell's Kitchen are generally at her behest at this point, even with him having made his stance and gotten a little bit of freedom and had his becoming and being recognized as a fully functioning neonate. He is still very much on the edge of her pocket. So the next night, due to her particular operations in and around Hell's Kitchen, there are several properties that are no longer in existence, several places that she had her fingers in, radicalizing certain service members, radicalizing certain police officers, and gathering intel and making sure that she's enmeshed within a certain strata of the city with her various cutouts. Because as much as Finn finds himself singular, he is not her only pawn on the board. So because the owner of what's soon to be known as Grey Wind is one of her targets, that the entirety of that family, he stalking his prey, gathering intelligence and doing as requested, because, well, the illusion of freedom that is civil liberty hasn't quite been undone in his eyes yet. Finding himself once more in the area, so of course he's going to swing in. Of course he's going to stay close to the target, but as invisibly as possible.
And of course, the vigilant spy would never stop into the strip club, because that would be counterproductive, right?
Yeah, well, if Noor had all the information necessary, this wouldn't be necessary. I wouldn't have to be out here beating the bushes like this. But no, of course, she leaves certain bits of information out of all of her grandiose speeches and asides. So, you know what? I'm going to take a little time for myself. That's far too many uncomfortable coincidences, far too many lies told with truthful intentions. Why don't she just get, I don't know, one of those things from Beverly Hills Cop, where they had them flying over the cars, following people? She probably needs to do stuff like that.
So you find yourself in front of a club that you had been at just the night before and had met someone who apparently had caught your interest, because you find yourself back here once again. Sure, you were in the neighborhood, but there was nothing compelling you to drop by. You show your ID at the door, and you are ushered into the fun world of strip clubs, the black lights, the disco balls, the stripper poles, overpriced drinks, smell of desperation and cash. Half the room being high rollers, the other half being people who don't even get to roll at all. And then I assume you spot Lyric from across the room as she's keeping an eye on someone who may be a problem. He's had a little too much to drink. He's been throwing around a little too much money. He's been warned once to not touch the girls.
Settle in and keep an eye on the soon-to-be problem. There's a tipping point, and we all reach it at various points along our evening, where one drink more is far too much, and 100 drinks is never enough. You hit that wall, and most people have the decency of falling or sliding down along it and ending their night before a percentage of the population. They don't hit the wall. They crash through the wall, the house, bring the roof down, and keep right on trucking. And from what I can see, he's clearly intending to act as if he's a tropical storm.
He orders another round of drinks for his table and sets a couple dollars on the stage as the girl crawls by. Keeps looking over his shoulder at Lyric.
As the server heads to the bar, the cocktailer, to refill his order, I notice he didn't tip her. So I make my way over. Slide a couple of bills, a couple of Franklins on her tray. Hey, I know this seems a little weird. In fact, it seems really weird. But I don't want anything from you. In fact, what I want, if possible, you tell me if it is, could you, I don't know, take the next 20 minutes off, make sure that he gets his orders extraordinarily slowly? 20, maybe 30.
She looks at the substantial amount of money you put on her tray. She pops her gum and nods at you with a grin and sets her tray down and goes and takes a unexpected break outside for a cigarette.
I'm sure Lyric kind of catches this out of the corner of her eye. Because she usually keeps tabs on everything. And watching the girl put her tray down raises her eyebrows, but it's not a problem, so she doesn't exactly react to it, swiveling her gaze back to the problem.
He is laughing and joking as he finishes off the rest of his drink. He keeps looking back at you, giving you a smirk, smug little smiles. He's definitely one of those kids with... Go ahead.
She decides it's about time to cut him off, so she tells the bartender that one doesn't get any more, and walks over to him, politely. I'm not one of the girls you should be looking at. I'm just here doing my job. But I'm gonna need you to quiet down just a tiny bit, okay, sweetheart?
He looks at his buddies. Clearly he has a few drinks in more than he should have. He smirks at you and says, I was under the impression that everything in here was for sale.
That's where you're mistaken, honestly, but at the same time, I don't know, maybe depends on what it is exactly that you want. Because if it's an ass whooping, we can make that happen for a good price.
He stands up and attempts to put $100 bill in your shirt or bustier or whatever you're wearing and says, I like it rough.
Manages to sidestep him a little bit, obviously because he's drunk and she's not, so sidesteps him a little bit, grabs the 100 in her hand so that he doesn't touch her body at all. And she said, I know you were warned already about touching the girls, so this is Your last warning.
He shrugs and laughs and says, "Oh, come on now. It ain't got to be like that."
But it does. Muffin. It really does.
He blinks at you
Besides,
as
I
he
don't think
tries
you
to...
could handle the type of rough that I could give you.
He blinks at you as he tries to process muffin. And he says, "Well, you don't know till you try."
She looks at his friends. I think this is the point in the night where you help him make good life decisions and maybe take him the fuck out of here. If not, well, he'll still be leaving, but it just won't be on his own feet.
His friends are kind of unsure what to do for a moment because he is their ringleader. But what you're saying makes sense, and he is pretty drunk, so it takes a minute, but one of them gets up and tries to grab his shoulder and say, "Come on, man, we'll go somewhere else. This place sucks." And he kind of nods slowly. He's still watching Lyric. And he grabs his coat up and follows the group out. There's like 6 of them all together.
She will make sure to escort them to the door so that nothing happens on their way out, or so that nothing happens to them, so that they, oh, so-and-so beat me up in the club and try to spin it, so she makes sure that they get out.
And they do. He talks a little shit. A lot of it's slurred. Nothing overtly threatening that would make you jump him, but he's trying to maintain his "I'm a man" facade as they go, but like I said, cleverly enough to not get his ass kicked. And out they go into the night as you walk by Finn.
Speaking from right over her shoulder, because remember, he always keeps his silence of death up. And whenever he's not being looked at, he just slips from the mind fairly easily. At least slips from the view. Something that, being whom he is, has come in handy far more often. So as she's watching them leave, from right over her shoulder, as she begins to turn around, well, I suppose that worked out pretty well, didn't it?
She's trying to act cool because it did startle her a little bit, him just popping up behind her, but she can't let him see that he rattled her. So, trying to listen to him. Oh, you're back. Are you enjoying the view this evening, or bored with this by now?
Just trying to figure out how you do what you do, considering that, not that I'm a violent man by any stretch of the imagination, but he was weighing on my patience. Of course, I have very little of that these days.
The other thing about this situation, you gotta be patient, because they will make a mistake, and that's when you use that mistake against them. But if they get you too riled, you make the mistake, and it's a problem. I don't make mistakes, usually. My shift's almost over, though. If there's something where you'd rather be.
A little bit. I like the way that you handle yourself, and with the remainder of your evening, I got a thing that we might get do. I need you to be brave, because It's going to require a lot of physical activity, and I'm not sure how your stamina is.
You're a fucking comedian. Oh, okay. I'll be right back. And then she goes and cashes out for the night, make sure that everybody knows she's leaving. Her replacement comes in for the overnight shift, and she divvies out tips, takes her own money, puts it in her bag, and meets him back by the front door.
You ready for this? I have every intention of taking you someplace that you've never been before, to the highest heights that I am possibly able to reach, as well as, well, expose you to brand new vistas, if you're willing.
I'm always down for a good adventure. Or a bad one, I mean. But I'm hoping it's a good adventure, yeah.
What do you know about condos?
Oh, am I misreading? Like you said, condos, like condominiums?
Yeah, exactly that.
Or something else?
No, condominiums, to be exact. You know the development they're doing over in the Hudson Yards?
I've heard some stuff, yeah.
Well, I've got a place for us.
Big. Oh.
Yeah, a place that we can go.
Don't you fancy?
It's not exactly what it seems, but yeah, it's pretty fancy. You know the building right there on 28th and 11th?
Yeah, I've been around that neighborhood before. I mean, you can't live in New York without exploring a bit, right?
Yeah, the space right there on the corner that gets you the view of the entrance to the tunnel and the waterfront from the top floor. That's where we're going.
He just kind of smiles at him and motions after you out the door so that they can get moved.
So how long you been in New York? How long you been native? Local?
Never really been anywhere else. This has been my whole life.
You always been in a Manhattanite, or you ever get up to Harlem?
Was raised right around the old Times Square, 42nd Street situation.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. It seems really weird, I know, but you moved a little fast back there. You moved a little quick. And my eye being what my eye being, is there any chance, like, that this is some sort of magical incident happening between us here? Like, are we long lost cousins, kindred spirits, or souls that are conjoined to dance around one another several lifetimes or something like that?
Never pegged you for the hippie sort, but it's funny that you say kindred spirits. Something like that.
Now, Lyric,
you appear out of nowhere.
Now, Lyric has sensed the beast, right?
Yeah, that's why she's not fussed about what he's getting at.
All right. Yeah, I was going to say you've probably made him by now, or at least had a suspicion, but play on.
You know, he typically doesn't blush, so that anyone who's actually Kendrick can, make it a known thing. The are you or am I, are you? No, he doesn't play those games typically.
So the evening is fairly humid. It's late enough that there's not a whole lot of foot traffic, at least not in the part of town that you are currently in. As you make your way over to your destination, you said it was a high-rise building or a several-story building, at least near the tunnel.
Yeah, that's a high-rise right there on 28th and 11th, the northeast side of the street. The condos on the top of the building are where they're heading. Well, where they're aiming to head.
Do we think this would be the type of place that would have a doorman, or do you have to get buzzed in?
It has a doorman, but I'm sure at this late hour we may have to find another way.
Fair enough. So as you stand looking at the building, I was going to say admiring, but you're not really admiring it. Looking for an alternative form of entrance. What do we see?
As they approach, having walked here, giving themselves the time to converse and touch base on this, that, and the other, there is the instinctual connection, as well as he's fairly straightforward with what he is. As much as he talks, as much as he discusses and runs his mouth, there's still very much the slowly dance of fans removing things, dropping coded, very thinly coded phrases so that there can be the Jimmy, stop beating around the bush. I know what you are, you know what I am situation, if that's amenable. He's pegged her, but he's not entirely sure, because unlike him, she blushes. He doesn't.
I mean, I'm fine with that, Lyric.
Yeah, she would have at some point when he came right out and said, "Let's stop beating around the bush. I know what you are, you know what I am." And she said, "Yeah, actually, I knew the first night. I wasn't sure exactly until tonight, but I knew the first night. You were different." So yeah, we're both different. How different, I don't know. You can do some stuff I'm sure that I can't do, and I'm pretty sure I can do some stuff that you can't do.
I'm not so sure about that, but I'll take your word for it.
She laughs. Okay, I'm gonna ask you right out. She leans in, getting her mouth kind of near his ear. Can you turn into a bear?
Ever since I have had to stop drinking coffee, I think that's all that I in fact am. Unless, of course, you're talking about the other bear, but I've never actually gone that way. So I don't think I quantify as a bear. I'm not chubby enough for it.
Squats him in the arm, playboy. He's such a smart ass. I don't know what I got myself into, but I'm good to find out.
Well, tonight, a little light breaking and entering, and being as I no longer have to beat around the bush, Plus, as fun as that may be, you don't really get much accomplished just going around the bush. There is a ne'er-do-well New Yorker who has made their money, well, in real estate. They've defaulted on several loans of a sort. Information provided without recompense. Enough time has elapsed that there is a default on the initial investment. There's a painting in that apartment, in that condo, whereas its missing value will be enough of a reminder to pay forward all of their debts. I'm pretty sure that they won't be returning, but there is one, maybe two members of house staff present. We need to get past the door guy downstairs, make it all the way up there, take the painting, disappear into the night, laughing all the way like Santa Claus.
Have you ever a chance to study the security in this place at all?
It's New York. The security's all the same. Some guy with a bat, someplace he shouldn't be. Some other guy with a gun, someplace he shouldn't be. And he holds up his hand. No matter what I do, it's going to be maximized events anyway.
I mean, I'm just saying, if we're going in a different way, maybe we can avoid the lobby altogether.
This is goodness. See, you're already pulling your weight. I knew this was a partnership made in heaven.
So basically what she'll do is lead him around the building looking for a fire escape, which is kind of a callback to what's been more recent.
New York City does love its fire escapes. However, I'm going to say in this instance, it's probably not extremely accessible. I'm sure there is one, unless it is a building not on a corner, in which case there wouldn't be one.
No, that's the building on the corner. What about the joint next door? You think we can get to the roof and figure out how to get across? Or that's too much of what you see on movies and TV shows?
That's a bit of a jump, a little more than of a jump than I want. I mean, I could probably make it, but I don't want to fall from the sky like that. Since we can't do the fire escape method, maybe first floor apartment, go through a window, walk through the apartment, into the building, and then up. Listen for anybody that's home or not home. Probably see if maybe somebody's out and about, because it's New York. I mean, the city never sleeps, that kind of shit.
That's what they say. But I know for a fact I've caught a couple of parking attendants who have been less than wakeful.
As you guys are discussing, one or both of you does notice coming through the lobby of the building a woman who is a little past her prime. Her hair's tousled, her shirt is buttoned incorrectly, and she's carrying some shoes. Clearly you have someone doing a walk of fame or shame through the lobby and out the door. There could be an opportunity to get in that way, unless you are trying to avoid the lobby altogether.
Now we can go through the lobby. Hey, let's make a run for it.
Lyric will come towards the door, but doesn't want to spook the person coming out. Kind of stand to the side, try to time it for her coming out as she gets to the door, like, I'm holding the door for you. And then when the lady walks past, she'll just walk in behind. Or walk in once she's
The woman will nod in appreciation and even give you a quiet thank you as she kind of keeps her eyes down and moves out into the night to go wherever her next destination is, probably her home, but who knows. She doesn't seem to pay you much mind. From there, you slide into the lobby. There's a directory. There's probably a desk that's unmanned because it's after hours. So it's, it's not a horrible building, but it's not exactly Wall Street luxury either. But everything is in good repair. It's well kept. It's just not overly ostentatious.
You were saying?
No, go ahead.
Just riffing.
Well, I should just say the lighting is decent, and there are cameras, but they don't seem to be spinning or anything, so who knows if anybody's watching them or... Sometimes cameras are just in place for looks, but not always.
Yeah, it's the theater of security instead of the actual security. Without looking up, because that's what those flashing lights are for, to get you to look into the camera. So, rubbing his brow and across his nose, just generally providing a questionable ID just in case the cameras are watching. I think we should just walk to the elevator because no one is here to help us along. Hopefully it doesn't require anything special, and at least we should be off camera.
Deal. Do you trust me?
That's a silly question. What are you gonna do?
She kind of laughs and leans into him like they're two drunk partiers about to go upstairs and fuck. So she's kind of like loosely pawing at him and falling next to him, keeping her face tilted away from the camera like she's kissing on his neck or something, so that it obscures things. You gotta act like you belong where you are.
Well, that won't make you roll for it, because who knows if anyone's watching the cameras anyway. But you guys are able to make your way through the lobby. There's not really anybody there at all, so going to the elevator banks, and I'm sure Finn is the type of guy that at least knows what apartment he's looking for, and if not exactly how to get there.
Yeah, usually it's the base investigation of the individual that I was following. Knowing exactly where to go is not the hard part. It's getting past the hurdles to get there. Again, security not very light. He does have maybe one or two house staff, but they should be easily scared off or bought off one way or the other without having to. But just in case, that's what Muscles McGee here is for.
As they get in the elevator, she grabs her hair, which is currently in like lots of little small braids, and twists it around her hand, flips them up into a bun, and pins them in place, just in case she needs to get her hands dirty.
Now, what kind of bag is Lyric carrying? Is it like a duffel or just like an oversized purse, or?
Kind of a tote, like, those fabric farmer's market totes. It doesn't have anything on it. It's black, but it fits like one change of clothes and usually her money and a pair of heels, which she usually switches out once she's done for the night into her sneakers. So that's what she carries.
Fair enough. So you guys step into the elevator. are gently assaulted by the strains of Kenny G as you push the button for whatever floor it is that you know you need to go to. If no one has any preference, we'll say it's the 11th floor.
11 is always good.
The elevator ride is uneventful. It doesn't stop until you get where you want to go. And it opens up into a hallway with semi-gaudy carpeting. The paint looks fairly fresh. There are several doors that are off the main hallway. It seems like it kind of is a cross in the middle. Sort of like there are two walkways dividing the building into quarters.
It's down the right wing, so he has a view of the waterfront. Take a quick second, a brief scan of the hall, looking for any of the hotel-style cameras at either end, just to make sure. There shouldn't have been, but things change all the time.
There's nothing that gives you any cause for alarm.
Nice, that's always a good thing. We like things to work out the way they're supposed to.
So you head to the apartment that you are looking for. The door says 11B. Why not? As you stand in front of it, there's no one in the hallway, but who knows what is behind the door. But there are a myriad of ways to find out, but they all involve opening the door in one form or another.
So which way do you think this will work better? Me standing to the side so I'm not seen? Or me pretending to be the damsel in distress?
Let's play on their biases. You be the damsel of distress, get their attention. I'll play the big, bad, fairly loquacious, drunk guy chasing you down.
Okay, fair. And she starts knocking on the door like she's panicked. Yelling, oh my god, please, please, somebody let me in, please, oh my god, I gotta get out of the hallway. And she's like banging on the door.
You see the peephole go dark for a moment as someone looks through it, and then the door opens, but on the chain. They're like, can I help you? A man's voice.
Bertha, bring your ass!
Please, it's gonna beat my ass if I need help. Please. Just hide me for like 5 seconds and then I'll leave and you won't ever see me again, please. And she's just like putting her foot in the door, but keeping him focused on her face and her pleading.
So let's do a die roll for that. Let's do a manipulation and subterfuge. All right. With your critical success, he pushes the door enough to pull the chain off and opens the door and says, all right, get in.
As she runs in, he trips, making sure that she lands partially in the door so that he can't shut it right away.
He will actually let go of the door and try to help you up.
Rush to the door.
As you come rushing into the door, clearly you are the assailant that she was afraid of, so he goes for the gun in his shoulder holster.
Wow.
She, pretending to panic, grabs him by the ankles and yanks as hard as she can.
Okay, let's get a roll on that one too. It'll be strength and brawl, I think, on that. Not that I am doubting your ability to grab him, just to see exactly how damaging that is.
I'm good with that one.
All right, you grab him and yank on him, throws him off balance. He fumbles, doesn't even get the gun all the way out of the holster as he falls down.
Well, now that means I don't gotta do nothing. But very good, very good, very good. Step into the apartment, closing the door, as if I have all day. When we know that's not the truth, but by not rushing, hopefully presenting the air that this is a foregone conclusion. So, buddy, I can call you buddy, right? Your employer has made a mess of certain things, and we're here to collect. This is my good friend, Bertha, and you can call me Bertha as well. Funny, I know. But you can either take a beating or you can take a tip. Which would you prefer?
Look, he ain't here right now.
No, I understand. We're just here to collect one little small thing. We'll be in and out of your hair before too much more mess is made. So the choice is yours. Would you prefer a beating or bonus?
So you want me to just come in and let you take something? How am I supposed to sell that?
Easy. You already sold that. Look at the back of your head. You're already bruised. We got to jump on you. Unless, of course, you want to make, unless, of course, you want the beating. Me, personally, honest, it's never been my thing, but I know some guys enjoy that sort of situation.
I mean, I could rough you up a little more if you want help selling it.
Look, this dude, he's fucking prick. So, I'm open to hear an office.
Okay. Clearly my initial offer didn't quite strike your fancy. So the bonus, you look like a tough guy. Your boss hired you for what? Your strong chin, your ability to fire, you're licensed to carry, right? So you went through the courses and all of that.
Yeah, sure. That's what happened.
Okay. Well, average bodyguard for a licensed to carry individual is about $47,500. So, I mean, tonight, you're probably gonna tap out right around 125, 175 if he tips you, right? So let's give you even two bills you sit down, you've made your day's salary, and we go about our way. Or if you want more of a cover, we toss you 3 lodge, you take a beating, and we go about our way. So 2 or 3, which one would you prefer?
You know, if I'm gonna keep working in this line, I'm gonna have to look fucking worse than I am. So, how bad a beating are we talking? Because I want to look convincing, but I don't want to fucking go to the hospital.
Okay. I'm sure Bertha here can make sure you stay just shy of the hospital. It'll suck a little bit, put some steak on it, you'll be fine. Okay? I'm gonna go take a quick look around. Once I find what I'm looking for and Bertha gets done with you, we'll exchange funds and I'll be on my way. You and Bertha may want to exchange phone numbers later, being as your thing is getting beat up, and everyone needs to release a little tension and aggression every once in a while.
He holds out his hand for the money and then looks at Lyric and says, You what, you know fucking karate or something?
I know a lot of things. She winks at him and then shrugs off her jacket, showing off the bustler because she didn't change clothes, but it definitely shows off her arm muscles and how fucking jacked she is. She's starting to like roll her neck and like loosen.
He's like, all right, roids, go at it. Not in the mouth. I just had some dental work done. And I assume he is paid and beaten.
Yeah.
She looks towards Finn, cracking up. Not in the mouth.
I caught that. And yeah. He's the man of his word. 3 and a beating. Figured, you can make a little extra money for taking a beating. And I go looking for the painting. I'm a sensitive soul. Right. I don't need to see such violence.
You see all kinds of art here. Maybe your target might be a bit of a collector. Not exactly at an epic level. Probably not even at a mildly impressive level for Manhattan. But a collector nonetheless. A boss here, a small statue there. A lot of modern art sort of things. Some of it a little tasteless. Clearly they have more money than an actual appreciation for what is fine art. But you see the painting hanging over a table in the main room, the living room, as it were.
Your guy is such a bad guy. So I'm not sure if, and as he's talking, as the sounds of flesh being pound and a few exhalations of pain are escaping from the other room, he stands before Madeline, leaning on her elbow with flowers in her hair. Purportedly, it was stolen from Houston, Texas, but it was actually lost in a poker game. It's currently valued here in 2013 at right about $1 million. It's a horrible thing to have slip from your fingers, especially in the midst of all of this other garbage. It's the one thing that actually has any real value. It's a Renoir, and it's not that great. Like, looking at it, it's a fairly voluptuous woman with her left hand resting against her head as she stares off into the middle space just to the left of the viewer. It's not one of his more polished pieces, but it has more than sentimental value in the art community. And while there's no statute of limitations, technically, at 2 years, people are already beginning to believe that it has been destroyed, which means its value will skyrocket when it's found in another 2 to 3 years. People will lose their mind. The lost Renoir. So that $1 million will easily be 10, 20 times that. So having it removed from his relatively safe and obscure location means that he's in effect not losing the $1 million, but he's in effect losing about $15-20 million, all for not keeping his word, which he can get it back later, of course. I'm sure Noor, for all of her double dealings, doesn't have any intentions of selling it or otherwise not returning it. At least that's what she said. So we'll see how that works out.
Now, since I am not familiar with this piece of art, how large is the canvas?
Oh, that's not a problem. I have the perfect sleeve. What we're going to do to make sure that it's obfuscated from view is remove it from the frame, roll it off of the actual frame for the canvas, and attach a slip knot to one edge and the other to the other so that it goes over the shoulder as if it's a bedroll underneath my jacket, and out we go. None will actually see it leave the building.
Fair enough.
It's a horrible way to treat a painting, but keep your word, otherwise there will be consequences, especially to Noor.
So, as you are... Go ahead.
Also sticks with the deal made. She hits him in the throat and hits him in the eye, but does not hit him in the mouth. Breaks a couple ribs. But yeah, she makes it plausible.
At some point, he's probably like, okay, that's enough. It's enough. And as Finn is cutting the painting free of the frame, and Lyric is getting done beating the poor security guard who is being paid to be beaten, we are at 10:36. Probably an appropriate time to take a break if everyone's amenable to that.
Yes. A break.
So I'll see everyone back. See everyone back here in about 10 then. Is everyone back?
I am indeed.
Yeah.
All right, so painting in hand tucked under your jacket, Lyric wiping blood from her fists. What is our next course of action?
It's the getting out. It's the getting back to Harlem. There's a hair shop. It's not really a hair shop, though the owner dreams of it one day being a hair shop community center that we're going to be heading back to. Gotta get the painting to Noor and hopefully play a little bit of cock block to her and whatever Sun Young are doing. Don't really like the guy. He's dry and pompous and seems to always be seems to always be watching motherfuckers, and that's the part that gets on my nerves. Just quietly intuiting what may or may not be happening. I can say something.
Now, would this person that you have just liberated property from, would he know your face?
Can't say, honestly. Again, Finn is naturally, and has relied on it for quite some time, that if you stop paying attention to him, it's easy to forget that he's there. He's always, upon his death, sound didn't seem to stick to him. He's not bothered to really research it properly or go through any of the meditative exercises that Noor constantly tries to level at him to strengthen the ties of blood. Nah, fuck all that. So he's never really sure how others are completely affected by it, because some people keep him in their mind's eye. They keep their eye on him, so they notice him. So depending on how cognitively aware this person is of familiar faces popping up in places where they shouldn't.
Well, in that case, we'll say that they pass in the lobby, but he is with some female companionship. He has clearly been drinking, and it is easy enough for the two of you to slip by unnoticed if you wish to slip by unnoticed.
Yeah, there's no point in rubbing it in, I suppose, right?
Probably not.
Yeah, they're like, it's time to go. Time to go. Let us be off.
So you step out onto the streets once again. This time, I assume, beelining for your sires.
Yeah, we'll get there and all of that good stuff.
So you enter one of the places that she uses to do business. Not where she sleeps, as you well know. You're not really sure where she sleeps these nights, but you have an idea that you might be able to narrow it down to a handful of them. You enter. Obviously, there is no security detail waiting for you or any sort of pat down or scrutiny or whatever. You know that your sire can handle most threats if she's forced to. And so you enter her receiving room, which I don't know if Nora is the type that enjoys comforts or is just likes the plain and simple of things.
Nora is far too much of a toreador, typically, in regards to her manifestations of her wealth. She comes from Eritrea. She's one of the, not royal, but we'd consider them royal here, but she's from one of the noble families, all whatever they were called back during the middle 19th century. She's fairly well appointed in regards to her presentation of self, always as luxurious as possible as a sign of her inherent wealth and nobility, while also being very, very wily. She has the mind of a general and the face of an angel, if that metaphor doesn't seem too much. One of the reasons why she was initially interested in killing Finn was because he was an evildoer, though not evil, more mischievous. He squandered what little signs of intellect he had by simply being a rapscallion. He has always been, he's found out how to kite checks early on. He found out how to wash checks, and he found out how to, back during the late 90s, obtain actual magnetic ink to print checks and cut checks from scratch. And a lot of what he was doing ended up picking at the edges of her empire she was using to build towards whatever her end goal is. Then this is before he found out and finds out that she is in fact a schismatic. Like, her long game is absolutely ridiculous. She has been here in the midst of the Camarilla in New York, fighting for the quote-unquote Camarilla of New York, while undermining her own clan members who were not actually children of Hakim, those who were Semitic in their worship, who believed in Jesus and the God of Abraham and the Prophet Muhammad. And she's been undermining them while building her own network of support without anyone being any the wiser.
I see. So she's an adherent of Shulgi and not a flight from Alamut.
Yes.
Interesting. I will make a note, as Jason Carl likes to say.
Yes.
So, you find her sitting among some creature comfort, kind of, I guess, leaned out on some sort of decadent sofa sort of thing. And she just kind of regards you with a wry sort of smile as you enter. She does look over at your companion and kind of takes a quick inventory, very obviously.
Hey, Noah. I thought you'd still be busy with Sun Yang. Glad to see he's not here. No disrespect meant, of course. This is, Lyric. She's been very, very helpful.
She smiles and stands up and says, "Pleasure to make your acquaintance, Lyric."
Pleasure's all mine. Thank you for having us.
My boy knows he is always welcome. Especially when he comes bearing gifts. You are bearing gifts, aren't you?
No, we ran into a little trouble. If not for Lyric, we wouldn't have. I wouldn't have been nearly as successful. And begin untying the string, holding it in place, hidden underneath the jacket. Didn't bother taking the frame. That made things a little bit more difficult. So, yeah.
She takes it carefully and unrolls part of it as much as she can to look at it. Says, "Oh, I think we can find a suitable frame for it." And then, as her eyes finally pull away from the present you have brought her, more or less, she looks at you and says, "You've done well. What sort of troubles did you encounter?"
Surprisingly, not as much security as you said. And the guy was easily bought off with a little bit of beating.
Well, in America, loyalty is bought.
It is. You ever gonna get around to tell me what this is all about, or I'm still gonna hang out here in the dark? I don't mind you, but, and I suppose sooner rather than later would be helpful overall, just to put my mind at ease. As you say, a calm mind is a paradise unto itself.
She smiles wistfully at you and says, "Perhaps one day. It is just a piece in a larger puzzle."
No, as you say, you know where to find me. I will see ourselves out. Unless, of course, you need something else.
She looks over at Lyric and says, "You, my dear, what do we owe you?"
Oh, no, don't worry about that. I'll take care of Lyric. You take care of me. We keep our connections in line, as it were. And yes, I am very jealous over you potentially making connections with my personal resource. I thought you were going to let me run shops and small actions, and I can't do that if you slip your very tasteful, classy, beautiful self in the way of me and my resources.
She chuckles and says, "Very well. I told you it is time for you to fly from my nest, so I will allow you to do so."
Thank you for that. Lyric, you know what? I think this deserves a huge reward. Something that I rarely ever say. And with that, without even thinking about it, he throws his left arm over her, putting himself on her right side and moving toward the door back out of Noor's space.
She finds a better vantage to unroll the painting and take in all of it. She kind of gives you a scant little nod and kind of pays very little attention to you in favor of the painting as you were leaving anyway. Kind of leaving you with the feeling that perhaps she wanted this painting for more than one reason.
Wheels within wheels within wheels. It's always the way with these guys. You know, not for nothing. I may have slathered it on a little thick, but it was 100% true. I wouldn't have been as successful without your assistance. And I suppose it's time to be completely honest with the reason why I was there tonight, even. Following what's-his-face through his appointments, I wanted to make sure that he was far enough from home that I had time to do what was necessary. And that wouldn't have been possible without you. So while I know it seems a little grandiose and perhaps a little loquacious and verbose, it is 100% true. I really did appreciate your helping. At the end of the day, if I'm being perfectly honest, I don't like being alone. It's when the thoughts come, you know what I mean? Being dead ain't all that it was cracked up to be.
She just kind of chuckles at him. To be honest, since we're being honest with each other, I had a good fucking time. This was like, I don't know. I guess I don't know what I expected, but getting to beat up somebody, getting to pretend and play pretend, it felt kind of cool. Like, you know, like I'm sort of a spy or some shit. And I appreciate that. So yeah, if you ever need a Gal Friday, as it were, again, I definitely consider, you know, coming along for the ride.
That is... that's more than I could have possibly ever thought of. I get by, as it were. And so I usually end up having to get by myself. Noor's a great teacher. Even if what she teaches you don't really want to know. But it's very, very solo. There was another. But they're gone now. And even with just them being around, it was a little less lonely. But their age got to them, and they weren't honest with themselves or with anybody else, and I saw how that worked out. Not sure if you heard of that fire over in Spanish Harlem about 2-3 weeks ago. That was them checking out, and that's the last person that was actually close enough to actually count, besides Noah, of course. And I get an introduction to Sun Yang and a couple of others. She's slowly making introductions. She said that the becoming was kind of like a death day, but more politically correct than celebrating the date of your death into this. You guys celebrate death days or becoming days?
I haven't talked to my maker often enough to know. I know we run into each other on occasion, and it's a tense thing at most, but yeah, she ain't told me much about anything. I had to figure out most of the shit on my own. I'm sorry about your friend, but it does sound like you like older women. I'm assuming women.
Perfectly honest, yes. And touch is touch. On death, none of that really matters much anymore. I was how do you say, frustrated, inhibited during my last few years of life. Didn't really get a chance to do any of that, to really explore any of that. And now it doesn't really, like, I mean, certain people, there's still those warm feelings somewhere down in the gut, but it has nothing to do with the outward facade, the outward visage. It's about what's underneath. I wish there was a word for it, like I don't know, sapiosexual or cognitive metro, whatever you want to call it.
She just kind of gives him a slightly confused look. And I'm sure she's worn that look multiple times since then. But, she's gonna... Okay, whatever you say. That sounds good to me. Speaking of touching, that place feels like a fucking museum that your sire lives in. I was scared to touch anything.
Yeah, you should be. She sets traps. My first week dead, she instructed that discernment is the key to a long existence, that the promise of forever, like all promises given, could be rescinded at any time, and it is up to us to have those in our circle of circles that we could trust and rely on. So there are traps, and one of the first things that she so very kindly instructed was in how common poisons that would have otherwise been life-ending only cause small rashes or an itch along the skin. But it doesn't stop us from then becoming a typhoid Mary to those living that we care about. It's a rough first week, and making it rougher, as was her wont, I suppose, was the constant so she took cones, or whatever the verses are called, the surahs from the Quran, and used those and their parallels in the Bible and their parallels in the satanic Bibles to drive home the lessons of operating. Like she says that all of these religions, these false religions, because they're just cults of personalities that have grown, hold the kernel of truth but hide it in plain sight. And so she would always be quoting these verses and these surahs and these parables from these gathered books. She even broke out the Torah. I didn't even know she could speak Yiddish, but she says it's not Yiddish. She says it's Hebrew or whatever, and would show the parallels through all of the Abrahamic as well as Asiatic, as well as she's amazing. She's amazing, but kind of feels like it's too fucking much.
Well, how about this? When we hang out together, you don't gotta worry about all that shit. We're just gonna have fun and do fun shit and not worry about religions or books or any of that shit. Fun, that's it.
But they plan, and Allah planned, and Allah's the best of planners. One of her favorite quotes that she breaks out. But yeah, let's plan on making sure that we keep things fun.
And therein lies the trick. Go ahead, Lyric.
I don't think they go home together that first night. Like, I'm sure she would have him walk her close to her haven, but not to her haven, and kind of give him a pat on the back or a kiss on the cheek, and I see you when I see you. And then that kind of starts the pattern of him randomly showing up in places and inviting her maybe on adventures, and over time it just kind of builds.
Keeping things fun is a trick for two dead people in New York City, but as we know from their present day relationship, Fenn and Lyric have apparently made the best try that they could and have been at least successful enough at it. At least they don't hate each other, which is often the fate of two kindred to try to make a go of a friendship. And so from there, we cut back to the modern nights in a cellar where the large fan makes the light flicker. Several poles are erected around little pools or little receptacles to make pools, and they stare at the face of one of their nemesis, Mr. Edwards. His eyes a little wild, but he's too weak to do much of anything, as their benefactor Shava kind of drags her nails across his face gently and then looks at the pair of them. Says, "Here's half your problem, am I wrong?"
There's being wrong and there's being right, and then there's all the space in between. No, he's a fucking problem. He's a deceiver, to say the least. What's your problem with him, and why the show?
He seems to refuse to accept his place in all of this. We do serve a purpose. I'm sure you've heard that everything is part of God's plan. We are part of God's plan, but some of us forget that. She slaps him on the cheek lightly, says he's one of those.
Lyric just kind of like watching this happen, and she was looking at Edwards, licks her bottom lip. So was it worth lying to us like you did? Sending us out to get caught up in whatever the fuck bullshit you were trying to do. I hope it was worth it, because this is where you found yourself. We took you at face value. And then she stopped.
Doesn't appear to be real cognizant. He is, like I said, his eyes are a little wild, but he's either too weak to be in frenzy or too weak to be thrashing about. But he does not respond. He does look at you as you speak. And Shava pats him on the cheek once more and steps away from him. Kind of regards the two of you quietly. The silence is kind of deafening as it lingers as she continues to look at both of you, through you, maybe right into you. She's kind of, you've met some unsettling kindred before for different reasons, but she is definitely at the top of your list. She seems congenial enough. She just kind of has an air about her. Maybe she's really old. Maybe she's just really broken. Maybe she's just really pious. You're not really sure, but there's something off about her. But not necessarily in a, oh shit, we need to run away sort of way. And she finally smiles slowly and says, "So, would you like to help me get the other one?"
What do you need?
She smiles slowly. Says, "We'll speak of that later. For now, enjoy your night. You are welcome to stay here. I can guarantee your safety as long as you are here. If you leave the immediate area here in Brooklyn, however, I may not be able to make such assurances."
As friends and allies that we are, would it be beneficial for us to operate as your eyes and ears out there to gain information in regards to Birch? Because, so that you are aware, I want free of all of their little machinations, and there's very little that would be held inviolably separate from achieving that. But I believe in pulling my weight. I believe in being forthright in as many business dealings as possible.
She cocks her head slightly at you and says, "We are not entering business arrangement. We are performing God's will."
As a business relationship, there's a cost to doing things. Right, wrong, and indifferent. And there's nothing more personal than business. People think that it's fine, it's something separate, but our entire existence is a business. It is a exchange of one thing for the next, and the promise of immortality, like all promises, can be broken. I'd prefer that they weren't, and so to keep things above board, how might we, in fair exchange of your lovely, lovely sanctuary and security, earn our daily bread, as it were?
Well, you've expressed interest in helping me get Birch. That's probably enough. Do you feel that there's more that you can provide? Eyes and ears aside, I have many little birds.
Probably need to think on that a little bit more, but yeah, I'm sure that I am sure that there are other personal facets we might bring to the table.
She smiles again, crosses her hands in front of herself to hold one hand in the other across her torso. So that's why I look forward to hearing them and to hopefully explain to you your purpose, all of our purposes. Perhaps help you become something that you never thought you could become. But at the bare minimum, to make sure that Birch is not allowed to continue her reign of tyranny.
Wait, you got skin bleach that works on dead skin? Nice.
As I have said, you are safe under my roof. You may partake of my table with my bounty. And as long as my trust is not violated, neither shall yours be. And with that, she gives you kind of a short little bow sort of thing. It's not exactly a bow, but it's that sort of motion. She starts to walk towards the door that you guys came in through in her little pantry, as it were, of Kindred. And she just kind of fades from sight as she goes, leaving the two of you in relative slow strobe light darkness around two other Kindred that are being basically bled.
Not the most fun place. Rick, let's take a walk. Let's enjoy the neighborhood.
Okay, I just want to do one thing first. It'll make me feel better.
Well, then let's make sure that happens.
She gets close to Edwards, steps around the pool, and just like flat out puts all her strength into punching him in the jaw so that it knocks it misaligned. And maybe if its fangs fall out his mouth, whatever, that's cool too.
You do hear a sickly crunch, though it's not quite as satisfying as you'd hoped it would be. You know, Ventru and their fortitude and all. You do not knock any teeth out of place that you see, but you do definitely break his jaw. It is not left in a manner that would allow him to speak.
There. Now you can't lie to anybody else. And she turns around, shaking her hand out, and walks ahead of Finn to leave.
And as you exit I guess what we will just refer to as the larder at this point, just to have a way to refer to it that becomes familiar, because I'm sure this will not be the last time you visit this room. You step back into the quote-unquote cathedral proper, Shava's little church of whatever it is that she's serving or believes. And at that point, we will draw the episode and season 3 to a close. And we will see everybody next week for the start of season 4.
All of us sinners.
Nope. All right. Have a good night. I have food waiting for me. It's gonna get cold, so I'm gonna go eat it.
All right. Enjoy.
Thanks, guys.